Hey, I'm Dave, and you're listening to another episode of Dying to Listen podcast presented by the Disc Golf Dyers Guild. So, we have another amazing guest on here, Emily from Disc Dyers by Emily. So, if you haven't checked out her work, pause this podcast and take a look. I'm sure you have seen it before, but if not, go check out right now. But yeah, I guess we can get started into the hard-hitting questions and learn as much as we can. So, I'm assuming you play disc golf, right?
I do.
What got you into disc golf?
We have a cute little course, like short par 3 course that was near my high school. And some of us would go on breaks from high school. This was in 2006. And then that was purely for fun. Like that was my one DX Wraith time. And that's all I had. Played a little bit in college, but again, just for fun. I went to a school in upstate New York. I went to Skidmore College for a little bit, and they were big on Ultimate, but I didn't play Ultimate. And then I kind of just fell off back until COVID hit. My boyfriend had never disc golf, so then we ended up going out, and then he ended up just absolutely loving it too, so I don't think we've missed a week since then.
That is awesome. What does disc golf mean to you and your boyfriend?
I mean, for us, it's definitely just nice to go out. He was a fisherman. I did sports all throughout high school. We just like being outside. So I feel like that's pretty common for everyone. But in general, with disc golf and now disc dyeing, I've just found the community's been awesome. Like regardless if it's players, just spectators out having a good time, but then the dyers, everyone's been super cool.
What got you into disc dyeing and how did you find out about it?
I think I just saw it on Instagram. I'm pretty sure I'm just seeing people and they had these cool discs and I'm just like, can you buy that? Like, where is that coming from? And then I just realized people were dyeing it. And I was an art major in college. And I love textiles and dyeing fabrics. And so this was pretty close, but it's just plastic. And then a buddy from high school, actually, I didn't hang out with that much in high school. But he hit me up on Instagram years later, like we hadn't talked, and he was like, "Are you selling these?" I was like, "What? No." Like I just thought, I'm just making something for fun. I didn't know this was a thing. And then I was like, well, I guess that I can try. You know, with COVID, I was just been working in retail, and that got shut down. So I'm like, better find something to do.
So you are another disc dyeing baby boomers from COVID. Mm-hmm. That is awesome. Kind of a stupid question, but how did you come up with your disc dyeing business name?
Straight and efficient, basically. I just always think if someone were to type into Google just something generic, it would probably be something about discs. Dye would be in there, and then just to find me, just my name. So I try to make it as basic as possible.
There you go. Marketing.
Mm-hmm. My logo, however, has nothing to do with discs.
So how did you come up with that? Because it's Triceratops, correct?
I have a Triceratops tattoo.
Ah.
And I've just liked dinosaurs. I just think it's cool. I just liked them as a kid. And
is there any special meaning behind that?
Absolutely not. I saw Nate Rack had a samurai. And I was like, well, that has nothing to do with disc golf. And I'm like, people are just picking things they like. So I was like, I'm going to do that.
That is interesting. Cool, but interesting. When did you get, like, I guess, serious into disc dyeing where it no longer became, I guess, a hobby and you kind of got really into it?
I think I first started on Etsy last June. So like a little over a year. Almost a year and a half, maybe. Etsy was a little slow, which is cool, but it's good to start. But then I've moved this past March. I switched over to discdyeing.com. And I feel like the whole community with that too just is super motivating. So it helps you kind of push your work along a little more.
What is the hardest part in your mind of disc dyeing, and what's the easiest parts?
Honestly, the hardest part is like everything else except dyeing the disc. Like making, not that it's hard, but like you're not going to find motivation to be like, man, I got like 6 pans of glue I need to clean. Like I'm not trying to do that at all. Just accounting for not running out of your supplies. Making time to post all your stuff on Instagram. Because like everyone else now, we may be disc dyers, but now we're content creators. Like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
And we've learned I'm not a tech savvy person. So here I'm watching YouTube videos to figure out how Instagram works.
Well, at least you're trying to learn, and seems like you're doing a good job so far, so keep up the good work.
Yeah, that's definitely the hardest part. Easiest part is probably just, since I was an art major, it's probably just dyeing the disc. That's like therapeutic. You can just sit down. I like playing with colors.
I was going to ask, do you have an art background?
Mm-hmm. I have a fine arts degree, and then an art history minor. But there wasn't a huge focus. I took a break in college, then went back just to get my degree. My mom's a college professor. Had to finish.
What made you get an arts degree?
Pretty much wanted to do art since I can remember, since like second grade. I've just always liked doing crafty things or working with my hands, making stuff, whatever. Mm-hmm. So if I could keep that involved in my life somehow, then that's what I was going to do.
So I'm curious, honest question, and I don't mean to dig on you. Do you think your art degree was actually helpful or beneficial?
Yes, because you get to learn all these other cool things, and you get, they have the facilities that you can see and just look at other classes. I guess you can experiment without you having to spend all your money at home. I guess from that regard, so you can kind of figure out what you like a little more. There's a little more opportunity there. And you get to meet people that are like, oh, like they're super into oil painting that I've never done or something. And you can try that and it's cool. But overall, like, I think more of the college experience in general, just to socialize, I guess, and network with people and just like, have experience with all these different encounters has been really good, which you can get in regular life. But I guess it depends how much you put yourself out there to do that.
If you were to do college again, would you do the same thing or would you do anything different? I'm just curious.
I would have stuck with my first school and just not taken a break. The break is good, but I guess I wasn't actually sure if art was going to work. But now that I'm older and I've learned on my own the different ways it could possibly work, which I wasn't aware of when you're 18, that would have been a lot more helpful to just help me stick it through,
Is there anything that translates from your art degree to disc dyeing or your art background into disc dyeing?
I got to take textile class and work with dyes and stuff like that, and learning, like picking up the color wheel in terms of disc dyeing is absolutely no problem, which we'll go into a little bit later. Like, I only work with 12 colors, and I've made all my colors with only those plain ones because I just enjoy mixing all my own all the time, and it normally goes pretty well, so that part's really fun for me.
Speaking of the colors and dyes, do you have, I guess, what are those 12 colors that you like to use, and what specifically are those dyes?
I use iodine poly for pretty much everything. And all like the plain colors, like definitely black. Our group chat's going off about this iodine black. That is just
like
gold
crack,
right
man,
now.
you need it.
Yep. And then just pretty much the rainbow, red and crimson, the purple, the lilac, turquoise and blue, and then orange, yellow. I don't have a green from iodine black. Then I use the Pro Chem neon lemon zest, because that rules everything. And then I have the neon key lime and the fluorescent pink.
Is there any specific reason why you like to use iodine over Pro Chem colors?
I think that's just what I started with, and I'm super cheap, and I haven't run out. That's the one thing I'm saying with these glue bed dyes. I'm on my second packet of iodine black, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, those packets aren't very big either, so that's impressive.
And I don't think I've bought another color, like since the first time I bought them. So sometimes my mind is blown when like the Floetrol artists and all that need so much of this dye. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, here you're just like little doop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I go through acetone because it evaporates on us.
Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, I'm not replacing my dyes very often at all.
I'm going into the weeds here a bit. What containers do you use to house your mixtures?
I don't know if there's a brand name to them, but the 2 ounce, 4 ounce, this big of bottles from Amazon. The glass ones that have the little black dropper in the lid. I know the seal isn't great.
Yeah.
But it works, and I like having the dropper already there.
Yeah, that is nice for the convenience. I do have those, and I haven't dyed discs in a while, and basically all my stuff evaporated. So I might go to the, was it the poly something or the Nalgene bottles, and just get some of those plastic pipettes, whatever. But
I do want to try worm dip. I keep saying that I want to mess with some UV stuff, and I literally just procrastinate, and I haven't. But I know people really like those little bottles they come in too.
I'm trying to think if I used worm dip in a clear glued bed before. I know they work great for spin dyes because it's already that bright consistency.
Another thing I want to try.
You haven't tried spin dyes?
No.
Well,
maybe after the holidays, I'm getting there.
Okay, shameless plug. I will send you Dave's spin dye jig rig for free. So you can have that. Record players you can get relatively cheap, like $30 or $40 for something just to get started. I don't have anything fancy, and it gets the job done. So
I got a Gadgeties down the road. I just keep avoiding it. But it's like, I don't know if you guys have one. It's like a secondhand, like electronics store. So sometimes there's like turntables, and I'm like, I want to just call them and be like, if someone tries to sell you a turntable and all it does is spin, like, buy it. I'll come get it.
yes, just do it. I mean, you've gotten this far. Why not? What dyeing techniques have you tried?
I did cell dyes for like a week. It was okay. I just don't think it was a little too random for me, and it was before people, or at least before I saw people doing all these chameleon cells that look just absolutely freaking sick. My very first dye, I tried to hand cut a Ponyo stencil. Basically, I did a stencil dye with shaving cream that I tried to just do make black shaving cream and use that where it should have been lotion looking back. That's what it should have been. But I did shaving cream, which surprisingly didn't expand. I actually have it right here. It didn't expand around the thing, but now it's really old.
I mean, it still looks pretty good for what you had to work with. Wow.
Yeah, so that's like 2 years old. And I don't know what I was thinking with the centering of the stencil. It's just this half.
So was that your first disc that you've dyed? Mm-hmm. That's pretty good for a first time.
I will note, I did the stencil thing first, and then it sat for a really long time, and then this became an experimental cell dye disc afterwards.
Well, regardless, the stencil looks pretty good, even with the unusual / abstract using shaving cream to get that.
I did that for a while, and then I watched some more. Then I discovered T-Diddy videos.
For that stencil, did you hand cut the stencil, or did you have a machine cut it?
Hand cut, and I am still a hand cutter. I do not have a
What?
Cricut.
Wow.
I just suffer. No, I just feel like, honestly, I'm so bad at technology that it's super intimidating to me. And I also just, early on, I didn't want to become a stencil dyer. Not that I have anything against it. I think they're so sick. Every time I see them, I'm like, oh, that would be cool. That'd be sick if I could do that. But I'm like, I know I'm never going to hand cut that. But part of me is like, I don't want people asking me to do stencil dyes.
Yeah, no, you want to do work and show work that you want to do.
Yeah.
So if you start doing stencil dyes, you'll be like, oh, she does stencil dyes. I want some of those.
And I'm going to be like, no. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not super into that. If they're easy ones, or I don't know. Sometimes I'm in the mood to hand cut it because I like making things. So using my hands to cut something, I know I can do it to a certain degree. and it's enjoyable as long as I'm not going to sit there for 10 hours and make $40. But if it's just something for my shop that I feel like I'm just going to post or list there, I kind of post to my shop just to like give examples, you know? Mm-hmm. Then people can commission whatever they want, but at least in there they can see the different things I can do, and that's where I'll kind of be like, make fun stuff that I like.
What other dyeing techniques have you tried?
I feel like that's it.
And you're done.
Yeah. Did I do? No, I've done like lotion beds. At the very beginning, I tried like lotion beds, the shaving cream bursts. Mm-hmm. But then I pretty much stuck. I tried clear glue bed dyes, and then it just stuck. And I never wanted to try anything else.
Mine. How did you find out about clear glue beds, and what do you like about them?
It was probably T-Nitty videos, because there wasn't a lot on there at the time. Back when I was in art school and stuff, like I wasn't an oil painter. Like I really liked acrylic paint. It tended to dry the fastest, and then when you mess up, you just mess up. Like you just have to go back and paint over it or something. It's not oil paint that, you know, stays wet and you can correct whenever. I'm like, no. So I think the immediacy, I guess, or something of the clear glue bed dyes and the acetone, it's kind of like I like the risk taking of dyeing things and textiles, because there's like the mystery if you don't actually know what that's going to look like. Mm-hmm. Especially with clear glue bed dyes, you put the dye down and you put yellow on there and you're like, well, I can't see any of that. Hopefully that works. But then it's so awesome when it does. So I think the exciting part of it afterwards is also like the satisfaction of it when it does work is great. But other than that, I think that I'm expanding now, and I'm going to try these gradient dyes.
Ooh.
I just got the denatured alcohol. So I'm doing one of the Waves Christmas movie challenges. So I'm doing the Grinch. We're doing an anime version of the Grinch. But the background, I just don't have anything exciting for the background, and I was like, I don't want to glue bed dye it because it's going to look really busy with how like intricate I did her character. So I really just wish I could wipe some color on there. So I was like, here we go again. Here's a challenge, and I'm about to just try something that I have no idea what to do. But that's really awesome. That's what's really cool. And like I really like Jordan and Waves for doing these challenges, because I feel like I've tried something different on all of them. So
are you going to experiment on your tournament disc, or are you going to experiment on another disc first?
I did a little experimenting on a different disc, but I guess the way I have to do it on my tournament disc is kind of different, so we're just going to go for it.
I'm curious to see how that's going to work. Do you have any black or stencils on there?
I painted Cindy Lou on there. Mm-hmm. And then that's all I've done. I painted it in black.
Are you going to mask it off before you try it? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the only thing that I can think of is if there's like black that you didn't completely mask off, the denatured may spread. It's not as like horrible as acetone could, but
that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try that. I'll probably end up just putting black on this test disc, and then I'll just see how much that goes.
Yes. Because I've learned don't do anything or any experimentation on important discs or any customer discs. Do it beforehand.
I learned that, well, I mean, the Slick and Slimy tongue disc turned out really well, but I definitely learned the whole apply the black stencil lines after some of it when you're hand painting. That part should come last.
That disc, by the way, I honestly thought was a stencil, and when I learned it wasn't, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I asked him, I was like, I can't really do definitive, you know what I mean? I can't do like super intense images. And so I was like, can I paint it? I'm like, I could try that. Because Jillian from Happy Tree Dyes, I saw hers. And I think, oh, you can't really see it. I poorly angled this. Hold on, I want to turn this. Her sushi disc. Okay, it's right there.
Nice.
But yeah, she does all these cool ones that I saw on Instagram, and I'm just like, oh, of course. I'm like, I loved painting. I'm like, people are just painting these. Now I gotta do this.
So that is another dye technique.
Yeah, totally forgot.
Painting. What mixture do you use for that?
Exactly the same that I use for my glue beds. I'm just dipping in the same jars, pretty much. I don't have a lot of mystery to this. It's as straightforward and easy as I can possibly make it.
When was the last time you actually mixed a mixture rather than just adding acetone to the evaporated acetone?
Yeah, a while ago. I mean, every so often, I will let one evaporate too much. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll walk this jar all the way upstairs and clean it.
It's so hard.
That's like, yeah, every at this point, 5 months.
That's still impressive. And when it does evaporate, do you ever add more dye?
Yep, I'll add more dye. I've even just taken I have them to show. So I like using, these are from Dollar Tree. They're just little tiny things. So then I'll actually just
I have the same exact ones.
I'll just put powder in there, and then I'll just put the little couple drops of hot water to dissolve it, and then I'll just fill it up with acetone and dump it back into the other thing.
Do you have any specific ratios that you like to mix, or is it just kind of by feel and look?
Absolutely by feel. No measuring. Okay. That's the other part with cell dyes. I'm watching the T-Diddy videos, and everyone's like, "Are you guys, powder weighs this much?" And it's like, yeah, that is just, no. I'm hard pass on that. I just dump powder in, and then you dump liquid in, and you shake it up. And my other kind of trick that I do is that I have a foam board where I work that I just tape down a foam board. So if you spill anything, it soaks up really fast because it's foam board. But also, I just take my droppers and I just drop all the dye on the foam board before I use it, so I test the color instantly.
So when you say foam board, it's not like foam core where it's like the cardboard and the foam core, but it's actually, is it like a piece of foam?
Yeah, you get for a poster project in school.
Okay, yeah, so foam core.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Huh. I don't know. Nice. The thicker stuff from the Dollar Tree.
So, how did you come up with what I would call your signature style? And do you have a name for that style?
I would definitely say the sand dollar dyes. The raffle disc. These ones. Honestly, I think I was just seeing the cool patterns that people were doing with toothpicks, where they just pull out from the center and push back in, and it pretty much makes the same petal shapes. But I just tried doing it by blowing the glue around as opposed to the toothpick, and it ended up holding its shape, I guess, a little better on one of them, and then I just went with it.
What device do you use to move the air?
Tiny, bendy, clear tubes from the plumbing aisle.
Huh.
At any hardware store. I don't know if there's a name for them, but clear plastic tubes.
There you go.
It's a lot easier than having to bend your head. And it plus, long hair. I've only dunked it in there a couple times. But, oh my gosh, is that a problem?
The closest thing that I could get is if my beard's really long, but I've never thought about hair getting into a bed. That's
hair, and then, you're wearing a hoodie. I'm normally in my Discmania hoodie. The hoodie string, so you got to flip the hoodie strings in, too.
Yeah, I think I've actually had an accident with that before. And speaking of accidents, is there any major or memorable accidents that you've had?
Not terribly. More just probably all learning experiences. Dyes by Red was talking about this on his episode. The cleaning. It's if you think it's clean, I'm did I clean that? And just clean it again. Just make sure. Because even when you think it's great, you get so excited, and then it's just streaky and weird. And it looks good when you pull it out. So there's certain reel reveals that I'll pull it out and it looks great. And then right the second I clean it, I'm oh, that whole border's gone. So, that's probably happened a handful of times, not too many. But probably the cleaning part. And then every so often, and of course with my luck, it's happened on 2 Discmania disc, like a cool Razor Claw and a cool Sky God, where the stamp is just not great stamp integrity. I don't know if it's the acetone just eating through it. It looks great when I pull it out of the bed, go to clean it, and it just like wipes away. And I'm just like, I don't know what happened. And that I'm still not sure, like, is that me in the acetone? Is that a faulty stamp? I always run them under cold water, to set everything. So I'm like, I'm not scorching it off with hot water. So that I'm still undecided on those two, but they've both been Discmania. And I don't know.
Well, we can dissect this, and if you don't mind, we'll go through your process of how you do your glue beds. So I have some questions.
Mm-hmm.
First question is, what do you use to hold/contain your bed?
They're the cake pans, but I get them from the thrift store. They're like the old school.
Oh, wow.
But it's because they're so light in color. So you can see the dye. Because the dark ones, these non-stick ones are dark. You can't see everything as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know there's like literally no branding. There's nothing. But they're like 90 cents at the thrift store. So whenever I go, I'm looking for these guys.
What I wanted to show you is I have the Walmart cake pans, which are really dark. But what I took is I put some white vinyl on the bottom. So I could actually better see the colors because it was really hard with the dark colors. But yeah, your light cake pan helps with that as well.
Now, do you have to change though?
No. What I do is I use press and seal. Mm-hmm. So makes cleanup way easier. You just take out the press and seal plastic wrap and boom, you're done. And you don't have to do any cleaning.
Nice.
So, what glue do you use for your glue beds?
Clear Elmer's glue. I've tried the Michael stuff, and I felt like maybe the dye sank in it a little bit. It just seemed more watery, I guess, to me. It seemed thinner. I don't know. I just didn't like it as much, so I'm just sticking with the Elmer's glue. That's worked the best for me.
Yeah, that's really all that I've used as well. Where do you procure your glue at?
Walmart, Target. Actually, I just went to Target this past week because I was running out. Because recently, I guess, Target was cheaper than Walmart. And I was like, whoa. And then I just went back this past week. Nope, they raised the price. Now they're the same price again.
What does a gallon cost you nowadays?
$21.
I was going to say, how many beds do you think you can get out of a gallon?
That's the other, I try to reuse for sure. Like the second. Well, I have a couple different methods. If I'm going to reuse it right away, sometimes I'll just stir it I'll just remix it all up in the pan and send it again. Otherwise, I'll just pour it back in to another glue jug and save it. If I've kept it in the same pan though, I can probably do at least 2 or 3.
Have you noticed any adverse effects of reusing the glue bed, like any residual, funny word, dye that gets on the disc?
It's kind of funny. I keep a couple different used glue jugs where one will be tinted a little more red. Some are tinted a little more green. So that way I know if I'm doing certain beds. It's just easier. Like some glue pans, you pull it up and like somehow all the dye's been absorbed onto the disc and you're pretty much left with a clear pan, which is great. Do whatever you want. Then I do the dyes where you're like, oh great, I used red and black. This is ruined. But certain ones, like when I scrape off for the real reveals, a lot of the color and the dye goes, or I'll scrape it off to like the side of the pan. And then I actually go back in with my scraper and I'll just like scoop out the more densely colored areas and I'll just trash that glue. And then the rest of it I'll pour into the save container.
Yeah, that is actually very interesting because I feel like the dye gets sandwiched between the disc and the glue. And when you lift it up initially out of the bed, it's pretty much all in the disc. And if you just like wipe it to the side, you're good. Mm-hmm. All the stuff that's in there is basically clean and brand new.
Uh-huh. It will matter. I guess some of my pans are like a little bit smaller in like diameter. So when you have like too much extra border, that didn't touch the surface of the disc, I'll just run my scraper along that surface and kind of pick up that dye. Mm-hmm. And then I can just mix everything else in, and then it'll be fine.
How much glue do you actually put in your pans? Like, how deep is it?
Like a 1/2 inch, maybe. I can use more depending on what I'm doing. Like, if I know I got time the next day that I'm definitely using that bed again, I'll just put more in so I don't have to add any more glue, I guess.
Yeah.
And if you're doing, obviously, like, super flat discs, I use more glue so I can come in at more of an angle.
Okay.
Because I roll my discs in. And, which I didn't bring up here, I don't hold the edges of the disc. So, like, I make all my own tape handles so I don't have to touch it. Like, so I can just have the handles.
Why do you do that?
I think I'm just afraid I'm going to drop it. So I don't want to drop it. I just feel like the handles are so much easier. And for pulling it out of the bed, like, people are just, like, sticking their fingers in there, like putting a knife, and I'm just like, what are you? I'm like, I just have handles so I can pull it up.
What brand of tape do you use for your handles?
Dollar Tree duct tape.
Whatever works.
Yep.
How long do you let your discs sit in the bed, and or do you use any heat?
I do not use heat. Because, again, for me, that's just another step that I'd have to take into account. Trying to keep it as easy as possible. I mean, I say 24 hours. If I have something glue masked, and I don't want that to bleed through, I'll probably let it go closer to 16, maybe. But I'm probably letting all of them sit at least 16. If they're the champion plastic, then I can just forget about it, let that sit, because that's going to need a minute. But, never more than, like, a day and a half.
Well, I'm impatient, and I just nuke it for like an hour and a half, and it's done. Have you noticed any adverse effects for letting them sit for a long time? Like any blurring or anything like that?
Definitely some blurring if I let some of the regular glue bed, like sand dollars I've done, just sit too long. You can tell some of the lines probably aren't as crisp, or they would have been better if I took it out earlier. As long as I didn't soak. The other trick too, because it's acetone on the glue, is making sure all that acetone's actually evaporated before you put the disc in there. Because then that'll obviously affect if it's going to blur.
How long do you typically wait before you send your disc?
I guess depending on, like, a couple minutes. Maybe like 5 minutes. But I'm not walking away for 15 or 20 minutes because I just don't have time for that. I'll probably
Ain't got no time for that.
Yeah, I'll probably forget. Like, I tried lotion dyeing. Like, I was filling in part of a stamp the other day, and then I just realized, I was like, oh, that's been downstairs for like 2.5 days.
Shit.
Yeah, I better go wash that off. And I'm like, doesn't even matter. Like, at least that stuff dries. Like, the lotion dries. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's donezo once it's dry.
Well, is there any other tips or tricks or things that you do with your glue beds?
For glue bed dyes, with the timing and the acetone, if you want the crisper lines on, like, so the colors don't mix, that's when you'll, like, lay something down. Like, for my sand dollar ones, I'll, like, lay the colors down, and then when I go to do the black, like, the first black border of the sand dollar, I'll put the black down, put, like, 3 or 4 drops of black, and then I'll just let that sit for, like, a lot longer, like a minute max or something. It seems like a lot longer. But you can even, like, blow on it and make sure it all evaporates or whatever. But I'll make that dry out. So then I'll do the new color, and it'll make a crisper line when it's, like, a new color. So it won't mix, and that'll just get pushed out, and the circles will just get bigger as I do that.
So why do you think waiting creates those sharper lines and the colors don't mix?
Since the acetone evaporates already, when you put the new acetone down, it's like there's nothing for it to grab onto to spread out. It's like creates kind of like a dry surface, so then it'll just make a new dot in the center, and it won't mix with the previous color. Or at least that's how mine have been going. I do notice, too, the Pro-Chem dyes. I don't know if this is the same for everyone else. My Pro-Chem dyes sit on the glue different than the poly dyes. Or, like, they'll spread out differently.
Yeah, I feel like different colors have different consistency when you do drop it on the glue bed. And just the powders in general have a different consistency.
Yeah, like some want to expand a lot more.
Yeah.
And then some don't. For me, at least, I dye poly turquoise and then the Pro-Chem neon lemon zest. Both of those want to expand a lot. But the other ones don't. If I want to make like a clean purple edge, sometimes I'll do like 2 drops of the turquoise first. Because I know that will help expand faster for some reason. The purple's going to overpower those once I put the purple in. But the turquoise somehow is going to work to push it out first. And then it just helps the purple expand better.
See, this is all learned from experimentation. These little tips and tricks of how to manipulate things the way that you want them to. Yeah, that is fascinating. I'm relatively new to glue beds. I love them. They're really fun. And definitely learning a lot, like you said. Some colors definitely want to spread more than others. And just trying to figure out what the hell does what. So that's awesome. What plastic do you like to dye?
I'm biased. I mean, I like ESP. That's probably because I like throwing ESP plastic. Star's good. Everyone likes Star plastic. Neoplastic. I don't dye enough of it. But the Discmania Neo, like I did an Essence for someone a while ago, and I did a sand dollar on it. I was just like, I don't know, it just looked awesome. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it looks this way because of this plastic. I just don't dye enough of it, but I love that. And then the K1, I just don't dye a lot of Castaplas, but I do like that K1 plastic. I know people have been saying that it's fading faster, possibly. I haven't noticed. I was gifted to Recos or Ricos or however you want to say it. I was gifted 2 different ones, and both of those dyes I feel like are holding up really well.
That was the other question that I have is, how are your glue bed dyes on the discs that you have been dyeing, how have they been holding up? Because I know, I don't have much experience or time with that, but I know with the stencil stuff, they start to fade over time. Have you noticed that with your stuff?
It's actually kind of hit or miss. I just went through my inventory because there's some stuff I want to pull out of my shop just because it's so old. And there's a Predator, a Big Z Predator in there. And for some reason I pulled it out, it's like, where did it go? I'm just like, all the blues and greens just faded together. But I have other dyes in, like I have a Big Z Buzz I spiraled like a year ago and it's literally perfect. So I don't know. That seemed really strange to me. But I actually have, this is the first, you can't really see it, but this is the first glue bed dye I ever did.
Oh, wow.
And
that still looks pretty crisp.
I attempted to do some, I don't know, some weird swoopy black line through the middle. But yeah, this has been lost and underwater for more than, I think, 40 hours in its lifetime. So it's all right.
What is a must-have accessory that you use for disc dyeing?
I honestly don't know. I really like my light-colored pans. I was like, those I really like. Did I write anything else down for this? Hold on. Oh, no, that, and honestly, I really like my foam board. I really like being able to test my colors instantly. Even though, it's not exactly the same. Because obviously it's going on possibly a pink disc, so obviously it's skewed. But I mix colors so often that I really like being able to just put it, throw it down right in front of me.
So I know you mentioned that you do like to mix your dyes for different colors. How do you do that?
Those guys, I'll just use the dropper from my bigger jars, then I'll just add color into these until I mix what I need. Because I never need more than this for a disc. That, or I have just one of those cheap palettes But I'll just put color in there. But that's super annoying. I don't like those because it evaporates in 2 seconds.
That, and you have to be careful of what plastic, because I got the dollar store ones, and the acetone started melting right away.
Yes, there's that. For a tip for, I think most people do know this, but if you're hand painting, use natural haired brushes because your other brushes will just disappear.
Yes. Also, try to get wooden handles if you can. Not the plastic
Everything
ones.
natural.
Where do you actually dye your disc? Like, where is your dye lab / station?
My boyfriend's basement. Yeah, I just hide out in the basement down there, but I can shut the door so the cats can't bother everything because my cats love to sit on the discs. Luckily, yeah, they don't like the acetone, so they'll stay away from that.
Gosh, I hope not. Do you guys live in a house or apartment?
It's like a townhouse.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a basement, but there's like an unfinished area, but there's no utility sink. And I'm really...
Oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah, I'm really needing that because I'm doing all my reel reveals in the bathroom, which is super cool, but no, I need... It would be nicer if there was something a little closer than me having to walk pans up the flight of stairs to clean up.
Knock on wood, have you had any accidents of spilling anything?
Yes, I spilled like a whole bottle of dye yellow on tan carpet in the middle of my bedroom, so I just bought a rug. I was like, screw it. I've lived in this apartment for so long, like they gotta change this. I'm just buying a rug and perfect.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, there goes your security deposit.
That solves that problem.
Yeah.
No, there's that, and then luckily I have not spilled a massive amount of glue, but sometimes I just use like cardboard squares, I guess, and I just stack the pans up. And then stupidly one day, I don't know what happened, but I just put like the corner of it on the edge of the pan, and so the top two like all fell into each other. And so the back rim was just like dyed pink on one of them. I was like sick, super glad that happened to the one bottom stamp disc in the pile, but you know.
How many discs do you dye at a time usually?
I'm probably, to make it worth it, like 3 or 4. But sometimes I'm just going down there and all I have to do is 1, and that's all I have to do.
There you go. Where do you buy your discs from?
All over. I mean, online retailers. I recently started working this year at one of my local Play It Again sports. So that's been super awesome, and we're like really trying to grow disc golf there. We do have, luckily, in Columbus, Ohio, an exclusive, like we do have a disc golf shop here, which is really cool. There's actually 2 of them. One's just on the other side of town I don't go to, but an exclusive disc golf shop, which I know a lot of people don't get to have, so it's really cool that we have one.
One, that's awesome that you work at Play It Again Sports that sells discs. I feel like Play It Again Sports is hit or miss for, selling discs, but I hope you get a sizable discount.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much going to be able to have a say in some of the orders and stuff too, so at least I'll be like, quit buying this stuff, or definitely try to get more of this in. Like, we just got our Discraft order in this week, and like I didn't even expect it. Like, they sent us way more Athenas than I thought they were going to send us, especially to a Play It Again sports. And I was like, these are so sick. But then it's terrible. And I just tell myself, like, you can't be rude. Leave them for the customers. So I just can't come home with everything. But
yeah, it's you don't want to, damn it, I'm trying to think of the saying. You don't want to be the user that also sells drugs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Do you typically keep an inventory of discs, or do you dye on demand type thing?
Pretty much on demand. I mean, I always like having some just so I can dye things and add things to my shop, and also just to keep content going, something to post. But I like finding used discs that are still good to dye and keeping that in circulation. That was one thing I really wanted to do when I first started dyeing discs. One, because it's cheaper to experiment on the used ones and you don't feel as bad when you mess up. But that's like the only, disc golf is amazing. And like, that's our only, that's like pretty much our biggest problem is just the amount of plastic. So I'm like, if it's throwable, I'm still going to dye it if I can make it look any cooler. And you never know. It's like, I love fused discs. And I think a lot of players, like when we go to a Play It Again Sports, we want to go through all the used stuff and see what's there. It's like, there could be gems and like, we don't know all these hidden flights that we can find. I'm like, I'd love to dye stuff like that and keep them going so they don't end up in the trash.
That is smart and great, because I remember when I first started getting into disc golf, I was like, I only want new discs. But now as I'm getting more seasoned into disc golf, I'm like, okay, some of those seasoned discs are technically could be more valuable than a brand new disc.
Yeah.
So
I don't have any crazy arms, so I don't need anything crazy overstable. I'm like, if something's already beat in, but it still feels great. I actually, like, different people had sent me K1 Ricos or whatever, and then one came into the shop that I bought myself, and it was their K3, their soft, like their baseline plastic stuff, but I was like, this is beaten in so perfectly. I was like, I need this. But to anybody else, I'd be like, yeah, it's just a super beat up putter. But I was like, this is gold.
Perfectly seasoned. Have you had any weird or unique commission requests?
Honestly, not really. And I don't know if it's like, I'm a female dyer and people don't want to give me funny things to do. Or anything weird. Not even weird, but it was like really cool. One guy asked me to dye a bunch of discs for his wedding party. But like, and he gave them out, and I guess they probably all went like disc golf or something for part of their bachelor's stuff. And I was like, that's cool. So at least I got to dye all of those. But no, nothing. I don't feel like I get anything crazy. I'm not that fun.
Well, after this podcast, expect some crazy stuff.
I mean, maybe someone did order like a bunch of booty minis from me. So I'm just like, oh, they need a lot of butts. So.
So that's a stencil, right? And you hand cut those, right?
Yeah.
You
so everyone's unique. They're one of a kind to a degree. But yeah, those all get hand cut. But I just sit there like some days on slow days, it's fun because I like art and I like making things. I don't mind sitting there and just tracing something 10 times, whatever.
How do you do those hand-cut stencils? Like, what is your process to get the design there?
Pretty much, again, I'm cheap as fuck. I'm using contact paper from Walmart, from like their kitchen aisle or whatever. That goes on the disc. I draw up my image on tracing paper and tape it on there. And then I hand cut it out with an X-Acto. But I do buy the precision blades, the skinny ones, so you can make curves. And then I peel it up with... I have not figured out how you guys like using these freaking tweezers.
They're awesome.
I'm like, what? No, all you gotta do is put the razor and it just pops up. And then I have an advantage. I have nails on my left hand still. Obviously, my right hand is cut so I can throw. So I just don't match. But... yeah, I just pick it up with the little razor edge and then I peel them all back and that's it.
Yeah, I tried using an X-Acto knife to weed and it's like, no. But how long does it take you to hand cut those butts?
A couple minutes. Yeah,
okay.
it doesn't
seem horribly complicated.
No, it doesn't. Like, I don't know how long it takes a Cricut to cut things out. Obviously, I'm way slower than that on intricate things. But that's why I'll stick to basic images to hand cut. Yeah. But like those ones are pretty easy, I guess.
Well, is there any other dyeing stuff that you would like to talk about? If not, we'll go into the other sections.
I don't feel like I have too many secrets. I was like, part of me, I'm not going to be that exciting. I was like, I try to do everything so plain and basic. But that's just to make it like easy for myself.
Yeah, no, that inspires people to know that it's not hard or rocket science to disc dye.
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, I say that with an art background, but like, so many of you guys, even in the group chat, it's like, I have no artistic skills. Obviously you do. We can see it. You're just saying you don't. But I'm like, it's still cool, and I think it still takes effort, because, like, I have no skill on a computer. That's why I don't do the Cricut thing. That's absolutely overwhelming to me to even think about. So I'm like, that's a whole different skill set to have to do that.
Do you have any tips or tricks or imparting wisdom that you would give for either new disc dyers or just even seasoned disc dyers?
Oh, it's going to be repetitive, but stay away from RIT.
Yeah.
That, never brought anything good. Honestly, just experiment. I feel like that's the most fun. You learn the most. There's definitely going to be some disappointments in there, but I feel like that's so fun. The satisfaction when it works is totally worth it. And I think, who was it? Bobby was saying it. Yeah, like, go to your local Play It Again or go on eBay. Just, like, people are selling lots of used discs. Just get a couple and mess with them and figure it out.
Absolutely. Make sure you get dyeable disc, not the base plastic.
Yes, that too. I've dyed. I mean, I was like, I think there's only been 2 that I definitely was like, okay, full send, let's go. Oh, that is just absolutely blank. Sick. But we've learned, and that's what's awesome. Like, again, going back to, like, why I like this in the community. Like, everybody's been awesome. Like, honestly, it's like, if you want to just reach out to somebody. Like, we say, like, people like, oh, you're a veteran dyer or whatever. Like, in the grand scheme of this, like, we've been not doing this very long. And considering the future of disc golf and where it's going, looking back, anybody dyeing discs right now, we're, like, the beginners of it. You know, so I'm just like, do whatever you want.
That is some wise words and some deep thoughts to think about that. It's just scratching the surface of what's to come.
Mm-hmm. That's why, like, what you're doing is awesome. Like, so we can all hear everyone's tips and tricks. Like, there really shouldn't be. Some people have their secrets. If they want to keep them, cool, keep them. I'm not, because, like I said, like, we're the beginners, and if people are gonna keep doing this, what everybody's doing now, everyone's gonna figure out. You know what I mean? It can only get cooler, I think, and people are only gonna introduce newer styles that we had no idea were even possible now, I think. So it's like, I have no secrets to keep about it. Someone smarter than me out there is going to look at my stuff and be like, that's exactly how she did that. I'm about to do it.
I feel like in the future, it's going to be like the young disc golfers with the arms that are super talented, and we're like the old guys that can't even throw anymore. Like, damn, he's good.
Yep. Be like, I remember when I hand cut.
Back in my day. Oh man, we sound old already. Christ. If you were to start disc dyeing today, knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would do differently?
Man, I wish I would have discovered T. Diddy in certain videos earlier. And maybe just even thought to reach out to the internet earlier. Because it just didn't cross my mind, I guess. But in terms of actually doing it, no, because I feel like all that, leads you to the skill set I'm at now.
I keep harping on this and saying this over and over again, but it is the best way to learn is to make mistakes. Mm-hmm.
Even now, I wish I would have tried spin dyeing before now. Or something like that, because on certain things, like, if it bleeds a little bit on the edge, I'm like, dang it, I really wish I could spin dye and cover this up.
The spin dyeing is basically just magic to fix all your stuff that you messed up.
Yeah, I need that in my life.
Yeah, well, again, I will send you my spin dye jig rig and go to that thrift store and get your record player. So, shout out session. Is there any dyers that have inspired you that you would like to call out, or any places that you've learned your information from that you would like to let people know?
Dude, there's like so many. It's so crazy. I tried to write some people down. Okay, starters, Dyes by Red. Shout out, huge shout out, especially because I watched his episode earlier today too. But I thought it was hilarious he mentioned the story of us meeting. I was like, I literally almost physically like ran into him because I was a flake and left my disc 2 holes behind and had to run back. And then I'm running back to the, my tea pad. And he's just like, "Are you Emily?" I was like, "What?" And that actually was like and I actually didn't even tell him this. That was a really cool moment for me because I had just changed my Instagram name that day to Disc Dyers by Emily. It was previously my old account, and I just made everyone a follower of my Disc Dying account that day. And he literally called me Disc Dyers by Emily, like he knew. And that was the first day I'd even changed my name to that, and I was like, wait a second. Someone just recognized me from this. And that was like, oh, whoa, that's really cool. And I was like, I definitely kind of want more of that. So it definitely pushed me to, do more things
That's awesome.
with Disc Dying. But he's been super cool and just a really friendly, super cool dude. Jillian from Happy Tree Dyes. I got to meet her finally at Idlewild this year, so that was awesome. Nowski, his swirls are sick. And I was watching his stuff on Instagram. He was one of the first people I saw with his swirls, and I was like, gotta try that. And it's cool because now we're friends and we've talked, and how we achieve our swirls are completely different. I was just like, I liked his result. How do I get there? Jory, Throwjoes, Disc by Drake, Nate Rack, JL Dyes, Six Spin Dyes. That's just like, dude, they're so cool. He sent me, we traded. And I actually aced recently with the disc that he traded, he gave me. So I was like, that was super awesome. I was excited about that.
Wow, that's amazing.
But, Keith and Chris, discdying.com, they've been just awesome in everything they're doing for the sport. They're getting dyers involved and letting us dye stuff for Double G and all that. So that's been super cool. Bobby, what you're doing with this stuff. What else did I write down? There were a couple people. Oh, Jordan, obviously from Waves. I'm like, everything he's doing, just the commitment from that dude is crazy on what he's trying to do with all of this. That's so cool. And he's actually probably one of the people that inspired me to do the Secret Santa thing. I'm just I just wanted to do something that wasn't a tournament, that wasn't a challenge, something that was fun, something to network. And again, just to kind of hark on the whole community of this, and I think it's super evident in this group chat that people are having a good time, and I think people are supportive, and that's really cool. And then, I don't know, I'm going to forget everyone, but then literally everybody else in all the group chats. There's so many of you. But, yeah. Everyone I listed has been super, super awesome, and everyone's talent is just crazy. It's all different. I think everyone's stuff is so cool.
Yeah, it is a interesting, diverse, and welcoming group. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to get to know Emily on a personal level now. So we'll ask some interesting and probing questions. So the next segment that we're going to do is your favorite fave. So, what is your favorite band or song?
I think anytime people ask me this, I listen to all types of music, basically. Gotta admit, I'm not a huge country fan. But besides that, I really like Death Cab. I think. I've always been a big Death Cab lover. I feel I think in 8th grade, my cousin introduced me and he gave me the Postal Service CD. But then, all throughout high school and college, I feel like I've just listened to Death Cab albums. It's obviously I like other stuff all the time, but anytime that comes on, I'm just oh yeah, I can listen to this whole thing.
Have you ever gone to see them in a concert?
I have. I saw them, I think, sometime in high school, but I don't remember. Them and I think I saw them one time and I saw Guster. But that type of music, it's not everyone's favorite, but I love it. But I like all sorts of music. I will say right now, though, for Christmas time, the August Burns Red Christmas album just trumps all Christmas albums. If people like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel with your artistic background that you have to like music. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, and then also funny stuff I think Lambo brought it up, but I like the weird funny stuff like Bo Burnham. I don't know if you listen to any of that stuff, but I think that stuff's amusing.
I don't recall that I have, but I might have.
Oh, I will send it your way.
Fantastic. Do you play any instruments?
No, I mean, I played piano as a kid for like a couple years. So if I like sat down really hard, I could figure something out, but no. I'm just
Gotcha.
a music enjoyer.
There you go, a consumer of music. Do you listen to music when you dye discs?
It's that, or I'm listening to this or other podcasts or disc golf rounds, or it's got to be something else now that I can't watch any live disc golf right now.
All right, enough of that. Your favorite food?
Our oven broke, so for Thanksgiving we did tacos. But
All right.
we're big taco house here. It's pretty much everything
Nice.
tacos. That, and then I'm super into ramen noodles.
All right.
Like
The cheap ones, or like the real good ones?
No, I mean both actually. I'm all inclusive. I like all noodles. I'm accepting of all noodles. No, my boyfriend works at a really good ramen shop down the street. Actually, it's probably one of the best ramen places in Columbus, if not Ohio. I know Christine Jennings actually eats at this ramen place too. But that place
I
is
haven't
super
had
good.
good ramen in a while. Mm-hmm. Nice. Lucky.
Yep.
What is your favorite beverage?
Well, I'm allergic to alcohol, so it's not beer. But
You're not missing much.
no, I am just totally into caramel frappuccinos from Starbucks. That is my everyday drink. Yeah, it's really bad. Basically, I used to really love milkshakes and Mountain Dew, which I'm literally drinking a Mountain Dew now. But the frappuccino is a combination. It's the milkshake, but then it's caffeine. So why not just drink a frappuccino every day? It's completely justifiable.
It's like twice as bad now. You're combining two bad things, and it's really bad.
But worth it, and it brings me happiness, Dave, okay?
Okay, it does bring you happiness, but it may shorten your life, but worth it.
Worth it. Mm-hmm.
So besides disc golf and disc dyeing, what other hobbies do you have?
I like growing plants. I'm like, not illegal plants, but like, definitely peppers, and definitely like hot sauce. But then, yeah, I grow a bunch of random just succulents and random plants I really like. Actually, Nate Rack, and I have sent back different plant photos because I've seen them in his background. I'm like, ooh, I like those succulents you have.
Ooh. Do you have a garden, or do you just do like potted stuff inside your
Both. Yeah, we have a garden out back that we'll do like peppers, tomatoes grew there, and some random plants. If there's something cool at the store I'm gonna try, I'll just put it back there. But then inside, there's like, I have a string of hearts in the window that my friend got me last Christmas, and that's like my favorite thing. It's so long now that I can like keep cutting it, and it isn't dying on me, so this is great.
Nice.
Then like a bookshelf downstairs. That's at my boyfriend's place. My place, the living room, is like a jungle. It's kind of bad.
Do you have any issues with bugs?
No, actually, but I don't know here if it's also because we have cats. Maybe they're eating bugs or chasing them. No, actually, I shouldn't even say that. My cats are like terrible at being cats. They don't do anything that they should do. Like if they don't catch bugs, they will like literally stare at that thing.
So besides the plants, do you have any other hobbies?
Not really. I'm like totally a crafty, like nerdy crafty person, I guess. So I'll make things or probably occupy my time. Yeah, just making random things that I like. Like I saw a really cool cat house online and I was like, just for fun, I'm going to make it out of cardboard just to see if I can make it. And then I ended up making 3 different cat houses out of cardboard.
I feel you would like those 5-minute craft videos.
Some of them. Some are wacky.
Yes.
But some are good.
Yeah. Do you do any painting at all?
I did. And
Still?
actually, that's one reason I kind of wanted to start hand painting discs, because that was my favorite medium, was acrylic painting. And I've always loved painting. And I was really young. I think it started when I was like, in kindergarten or like a child. My mom would always buy me like giant watercolor sets for Christmas. So I loved that. And then as I got older, I just grew into like gouache and acrylic painting. And I was like, now I could definitely paint with acetone. So I definitely want to dive into that a lot more.
Well, there's another hobby and to suck up your time.
Yeah, right?
All right, next section. So, if you had to pick 3 discs to use for the rest of your life to play any course, anytime, anywhere, what would those 3 discs be?
I would have to say that I'm totally doing it the wrong way because I've actually been putting with my K1 Rico putters. But I like them for throwing and I like them for putting. And they're taking damage just great. There's no difference in either of the discs that I have. But I'd say that for my putter / throwing putter. For my... I need a driver, so I'd probably bring my Wraith. That's probably more sentimental than the choice of flight for me, but the Wraith was just my first disc, so I'd want to keep having a Wraith on me. And then I'm super torn between a Buzz and a Passion, but I think I'd end up just going Passion. I love the Buzz, but I think I'm just biased for some reason because it's like a Page Pierce Passion. I have like 4 or 5 of them, and I just ordered, or it arrived. I didn't pick it up yet, but I got one. I ordered one of the Midnight Passions from her site. But
nice.
That's Merry Christmas to me.
Are those Passions understable, typically?
Yes.
Like, what are the numbers on that disc? I can't remember.
I think it's like an 8.4 -1.1.
Okay.
So it's kind of like
something else.
I think it's supposed to be like a TL3 or something like that. I don't know. For some, I like the rim, and I can throw it on turnovers. I can throw it for hyzer flips. I can throw it kind of straight, but they do have just a little bit of finish at the end. So I don't know. They're super versatile for me.
What weight are those discs that you throw?
One's right. It's that pink one that's cell dyed by Throwjoes. That one I think is like a 160 something, like 162-ish, 164 maybe. But then I have another one. At one point I was bagging like 3 Passions. And so the other one, I have two other ones. One's the 170 to 172, and then one's like a max weight, 175. So they're all different, and they do pretty much, I use them all differently. I'm just biased, and I like throwing my Throjo's one because he died. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him on the podcast, and I want to get him in person because I think he's in Illinois, so he's not that far away.
Oh, that'd be cool. Actually, I have 2 of his.
Right.
The green one, you can't really see, but that's like a green and black cell dyed. Cool one. That's an old Innova DD3. Innova just made me a DD3. I was like, well, I need that. Not that I have any arm for it, but I needed it, so.
Yeah. You probably can throw farther than me.
I was like, oh, it was really cute. I was happy, Joe Mez. I got to do one of those Women Who Crush, whatever. I was on one of those featured things. But that was literally the longest drive I ever threw. And it was a super windy day. And I think I finally threw 300 feet. But that's not a regular occurrence. So that's about as far as I'm going to throw.
Yeah, that's about what I can do with my goddamn noodle arm. But awesome.
It was windy that day. But I'm taking it.
Tailwind, so it went further. Next section. The perfect hole. What has been your favorite course and or hole that you've played so far?
Oh, man. I love wooded courses. I don't love my scorecards on the wooded courses quite as much, but they're so much more enjoyable for me to just be out there in the woods, personally. So I feel like I've been lucky enough to travel a little bit to play, at least outside of Ohio for sure. So I really like Sockasty down in Myrtle Beach. That's probably one of my favorite courses. It's just super challenging and it's cool. I will say the only bias, just the freaking bugs down there. I hate all bugs. That's the opposite. Like all inclusive, hate all bugs. Like they are just terrible. We go out and I will get bit like 45 times, I swear to God, and my friends will get no bites. I'm like, I hate this. But besides that, which we're going down for the winter, so hopefully there won't be bugs down there and I'll be able to play and it'll be awesome. But Sockasty is probably my favorite course that I've ever played. Around me though, Gordon Holton is awesome. It's in Delaware State Park, but it's also a beautiful wooded course. And there's a lake there, and I don't even know the hole numbers there. There's like 2 or 3 different holes that have this little creek that goes through the fairway, and then there's like, it forks and you can go either way to the basket. But I don't know, it's just so beautiful. There's deer there all the time. There's nature and animals, and that's where I'm trying to be if I go out. I still go to the park courses or the field courses, but it's way more fun for me if we're in the woods.
Do you have any courses that are on your bucket list that you really want to play?
Maple Hill would be awesome to play, of course. Eagles Crossing would be so sick. But, like, would it? Like, do I want to go take 12s on every hole? Like, is that going to be fun? But that would just be, for an experience as a whole, that would definitely be awesome. And then it would be very cool. I'm lucky enough to sponsor some AM players. So, I don't know if you follow KK Approved, but if anyone's listening and you're not, go follow her. She's freaking solid. And courses out there, she's like top of the world. And some of those ones out in California would be super cool because I've never played out there.
Fantastic. Yeah, there's Maple Hill seems like a very popular answer for when I asked that question. Yeah, now I want to play there. It seems
the most achievable to play, I guess.
Yeah. Well, as much as I really want to play like one of those professional courses, I'd be like, damn, my score is horrible.
W.R. Jackson would also be freaking sweet.
Well, since I am not a pro player, if you had to pick a pro player to hang out with and play around with, who would that be and why?
Oh my gosh, I'm so torn. I really can't. It's between 2. Basically, I love Simon. I've always loved Simon. My fluffy cat is named Simon. But I'd almost feel bad because I'm just like, I'm pretty sure Simon wouldn't have a good time playing around with me. So I feel like I should pick, like, if it was MPO, I definitely want to play with Simon. But overall, I would love to play with Owen. I think Owen is so awesome, and then she's also my size, and we could be out there, and it would be great. I feel like she's so positive, she's awesome, and yeah, her last season was insane.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that'd be great. And she's one of the pros, like, because I've been to a couple events where you can just witness her be freaking cool with everybody she interacts with. There's other players out there, and that's cool. They take it more seriously. They may want to brush some people off, but Owen is cool with everyone. And that was really awesome to see.
All right. So some very interesting and insightful comments and conversations that we had. And where can people find your amazing work?
I am on Instagram at disc.dyes by Emily. I actually think, I don't know if they're still out there because I've been blocked, but the one without the period and there's one with an underscore, not me. So report and block.
Okay, I've been wondering this. Why is there a period in there?
Yeah, so my first account didn't have a period and it got hacked by Bitcoin hackers or whatever. So I ended up just starting a new account. And so it's actually a funny story. I had already ordered stickers and I'd ordered some stuff that was branded. And I was like, dang it. I just got hacked. And I really, again, cheap as fuck, don't want to order new stuff. Like, that's going to be terrible. So I was like, well, how can I change my name but not have to do that? So I literally went back on the hundreds of stickers I had ordered with a Sharpie and put that period in. Now I have new stickers already on the way that I've been ordering the right ones. But when that first happened, that's pretty much why the period went in there. I wasn't going to draw a consistent underscore, but I could make a dot.
I was always wondering, that's kind of a weird spot for a period, but now we know.
Yep. Yeah. So unfortunately that happened. But
well,
here we are.
So you are going to be raffling off a disc. I don't know if you want to explain a little bit more about it, but it does appear to be your signature style.
Yep. For these I had to do a sand dollar die. But it's on the new Supreme Escape plastic. Well, the Supreme plastic. It's cool.
How does that feel?
It dyes super nice. It's smoother than Star on the top. But grippiness, I think, is similar. I think it's smoother than, like, to me, it just for my feel, ESP's grippier. But I think other people are going to absolutely love this. I mean, I still really, really like it. I just haven't thrown it, so I don't really know. But it's cool.
Nice.
It's like, it's bendy. Like,
so you can get that really cool, grippy, bendy disc for $1. So when this podcast gets released, this raffle will open up and it will be open for 2 weeks. So for $1, you can get this amazing discs. Why would you not do it? It's just $1. I mean, it's way cheaper than the Starbucks Frappuccino Caramel Mocha Skinny Latte that you always get. So, you know, why not do
definitely
it?
not skinny. I'm like biggest size possible, please.
So you can find this raffle at dyersguild.co. And again, 100% of the proceeds will go back to Emily to continue her dyeing journey and help to support her drug habit for discs.
Please.
So again, yes, you can go there and find that. But that is all we have for this episode. Thank you guys for listening, and hopefully you learned something, because I know I did. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.